Before we get going here, this is a iDEVICE meeting, iPhone, iPad, iTouch. And today, Mitch is making the presentation. And we do have a guest in the audience that we thought we'd introduce, Karen Anderson. Karen is Ruth's daughter. By your fifth husband, or? Oh, six, okay. No, Ruth only had, I think, one husband. And Karen, just briefly tell us what you do.
What I do? I used to work for Apple. I worked on the iTunes music store, and you probably remember .Mac Mobile Me. And now I have my own company, and I work with startups on their online presence, websites, and social media. And I wrote the book, Take Control of iPhone, but that's for the iPhone 4. I did not update it for the current operating system.
So make sure you buy the book.
No.
Actually, I have that book. It's a very good book. Welcome,
She
Karen.
probably gets 5 cents for every book you buy.
Yes.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead. You're all set, Mitch?
Is there going to be a
Oh.
question and answer session?
Yeah.
Yes, there will be a question and answer session, correct?
That's absolutely right.
And then I just wanted to make mention of next Tuesday's meeting and make sure everybody in this room is there. We have the fellow that does all the tutorials. At 5 o'clock. The meeting's at 5 o'clock next Tuesday. The meeting that's normally on Monday is on Tuesday at 5 o'clock because the library has something here. And we have a speaker coming to us from Michigan. He'll be speaking remote. He's the fellow that writes all the tutorials. What do we call that again? Tutor for iPad, tutor for snow leopard, tutor for mountain lion. The tutorials sell anywhere, I think, from $3.99 to $4.99. He does them in a way that anybody can understand them. He's had a great amount of experience with Apple also, as Karen has, and I think you'll really enjoy the meeting. He's going to review, I think, his latest one, which is Mountain Lion, plus talk about his business and so forth and why he started it. But he's a really interesting guy, and he's agreed to participate in our meeting next week.
If you got and paid attention to the message that George sent out this morning, he had a snapshot of all the tutor books that are available. And I think there are about 15 of them.
Right. And he keeps doing them each time something new happens. And he just does an outstanding job on these tutorials. I think even to some degree easier for a lot of us to follow than lynda.com. So it's going to be a really great meeting, and he's a terrific guy to have agreed to speak to us. Okay, Mitch.
Okay. I'm Mitch Briers, and I'll just be sort of chairing today's meeting. There will be plenty of time for questions and answers. And actually, a couple of you did respond and sent me some questions in advance. So I'm going to address those first. I always like the questions that Jerry, our fearless leader, sends in because I respond to him. And he says, well, I knew the answer to that. I just asked the question because I wanted you to address it to the group. Jerry's question had to do with iMessage, which is right here. I'll pull it up. And iMessage in iOS 6, if you're using the same iCloud, Apple ID, all your devices will sync together, which is nice. So, in other words, if you have an iPhone, an iPad, and you have an iMac, and you all have the same iCloud ID, then you can set them up so that when you receive or send an iMessage text or receive one, it will appear on all devices. Now, having said that, I have had some difficulty on occasion in getting all the devices to sync, and the only remedy I've had is to go in and turn it all off and turn it on and resync it. Now, that's only happened when I've changed iOS versions, or they had to give me a new phone the other day. Yes?
I used this with my wife, and what happened was, when she sent messages, I got copies, because it's the same Apple ID.
Yes.
And that, she didn't want me to see everything she sent out. So I had to go back into her phone, into her iMessaging, and only allow her to send messages from her telephone number.
Yes.
And that prevents me seeing it, not that I'm saying.
That's right. If you share the same ID, you're going to see all that.
But you
Probably
can
should have had General Petraeus at the meeting.
Yeah. The general could probably.
He didn't send them.
So Jerry's question was that that's really nice that you send a text message and it appears on all your devices plus your computer. But I noticed that when I delete the message from one device, it doesn't delete them from the other devices, and that is correct. That's sort of the Apple way. It all syncs when you send a message, but when you delete a message, it doesn't sync with your other devices. So, for example, if I go into this one and I hit, I'm going to hit edit up here in the top left-hand corner, and that's not what I want to do. I hit
The share button.
Top right.
the top right. Oh yeah, the share button. Yes. And now these dots appear. So I want to just get rid of these three, and so I'll delete them. Okay.
And they won't delete on your other.
And they won't delete on my other devices. They're still there.
The photo stream does, so Apple can do it.
No, they could do it if they wanted to do it, but they're not doing it, and that was the point. And I did a little research on it, and say I kindly emailed our leader back and said, yeah, I knew that. The second question that came up was from Dr. Eckert. Is he here today?
Yes, he is.
Yes, okay. And his question, let me know if I get this right, was basically having to do with Wi-Fi at home. And he said he has some cold spots in his house where he is on his iPad or iPhone, and he goes into that part of the house and he loses connection temporarily. And then, of course, he recognized that the solution to that is to go in and just turn Wi-Fi off, and then he'll be on LTE, but that's sort of a pain to do all the time, and he really doesn't want to do that. So he's wondering, well, is there another way to correct this problem? And there are some things you might want to try. One thing is that you could get another device, what do they call it at the Apple Store, to boost your signal? The Airport Express, and put one of those somewhere else in your house where you're getting the cold spots. Okay. Then the other thing to do is if you're...
Did he just say he's got that already?
Yeah.
Well, let me really explain my problem. I have I have a good Wi-Fi, Airport Express, and the house is covered, but there are some areas in the house where the Wi-Fi signal is borderline. And the phone recognizes it and begins to see the circle, but I don't get any data transfer. And I have to go step back into an area where there is a good data transfer, but what it does not do, it does not go to the LTE, AT&T LTE, which it would do if I leave the house. If I just step out for a few yards, I would get perfect LTE reception. But in the house, there are certain areas, in the remote areas, where I have this hovering thing, where I don't get a good signal, but the phone doesn't automatically switch to LTE.
Yes.
And that's where
and it won't if it's detecting even a weak internet signal.
But did you say that you have an Airport Express also?
Yes, yes, sure.
Do you have two of them?
I have one and
If you get a second one and put it in the part of the house that's getting
Well,
weaker, it'll
that's-
boost it.
The issue really is, I think it's not proper. The system doesn't proper functionally. That's really my issue. I think the iPhone, the iOS 6 should recognize that the signal is too weak and it should automatically switch to LTE. And that, in my opinion, when it recognizes the signal is borderline, it should try to find a strong signal. And that's what the iPhone doesn't do, the iOS 6. That's my complaint really.
Yeah.
I mean, I know how to fix it. I can switch it, I can buy another Airport Express, I can do all these things, but I don't want to do that. I want the iOS people to recognize that they should automatically find the strongest signal available.
I'll call Mr. Cook right after the meeting and I'll have him,
Did it
that's
work
what you
with
want.
iOS 5? Was it the
Yeah, did
same?
it work with iOS 5?
I don't remember that.
No, I don't think so.
I don't think so. Karen, do you have any comments on that?
No, yeah.
Okay. And the other thing you can do, I would ask you, is where is your Airport Express? Is it low to the ground or is it high up? Because if it's high up, it'll broadcast the signal a lot more in your house. Where is it?
I can answer the question, but again, I know how to fix the problem mechanically.
Okay.
I know how to do that myself.
Okay.
I just want to, because we are talking about also the future.
Why don't you
we're
put
making
your
some-
on your phone right now?
Yeah, let me call him up, put him on speaker. Yes. Yes, another complaint, sir.
You can always turn the Wi-Fi off and a switch.
Yeah, he can do that. He knows that. He knows that. He
some
wants it to
automation.
switch just
Let me
when
tell you
it's.
this, I have been able to resolve, I think, 99% of all of my problems I ever encountered by checking Google, by being a member of this club, by doing research. I know how to do it. But then, once in a while, I run into a situation which I think should be improved upon by the developers. And that's why I brought up this point, because it's, I think it's a valid observation I made, and
It is valid, and it's something that they'll have to solve.
You know, there is a place that he can, there is a way to get that information to Apple. And I'm just, I know if you're within a program, I think if you go to somewhere,
There is some feedback on their site. I don't know exactly where it is. I sent a suggestion in 5 years ago, and they still haven't made the correction, so. But they tell me they do read those. Yes, Karen?
They do read the discussions, but you know, there's something, the whole Wi-Fi situation is incredibly frustrating. You know that my mother could not get messages to download to her iPad on Wi-Fi unless she came here to a MUG meeting. The messages were going into folders. Her regular inbox was fine. It was getting all the messages on Wi-Fi. Her computer was, but it was going to folders on her computer, but not on her iPad. And I checked in iCloud, and it was working perfectly there, but the folders didn't work on the iPad. I switched her to her neighbor's password-protected Wi-Fi, and tried that, and that didn't work. So then I turned off the Wi-Fi on her iPad, turned it back on, and everything worked.
And a lot of times, that'll be an answer. I don't think that's gonna be his answer, but a lot of times that's the answer. And the other thing to do is to do the quick reset, which there have been now actually, it was widely publicized, but I'll go over it. If you make a Genius appointment at the Apple Store for the iPhone, you get a box that pops up and it says, oh, by the way, we want you to do this before you come in, and that is to do a reset. And the reset is you hold down the button on the top, the same thing on the iPad, the one that turns the screen on and off. You hold that down and hold the home button down simultaneously until the screen will eventually go black, and then the app will appears, and then you let up. That resets a lot of things, and that corrects a lot of problems. Since Apple told people to do that, they say that their Genius appointments for iPhone have gone down about 30%. Because it's the first thing they tell you to do as soon as you get them on the phone or go into the store. So those were the two questions that I had. Yes?
This is back on iMessage.
Yes.
I remember that Jerry and George were trying to do a video chat with iMessage.
Mhm.
That's not possible.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
If you have, well, okay, it'll go to FaceTime, according to Take Control, which I just finished reading, it'll go to FaceTime if you don't have any other iChat accounts. In other words, if you have an AIM account or a Google account or another account, you can do the video iChat.
Yes, you're right.
But if you just have iMessage, but you don't have any other chat accounts,
If you don't have an AIM account, that was
right, or a
something-
Google account or other accounts, there are about 4 that Apple recognizes, then you can't do the video chat and screen sharing. However, you would be referred then to FaceTime
Yes.
if you only have iMessage, and then you would do a FaceTime where you cannot do screen sharing.
When we spoke with, not the last speaker, but the speaker before, we had to use FaceTime for that reason, because I guess he did not have.
He didn't have an iChat account. So if you want to do the video conferencing in Messages, you need to pick up an AIM account or one of the others that are covered by Yahoo. But the Take Control book on Messages explains that very clearly.
Yes,
A
Gary.
couple points. She's absolutely right. You have to have both an AIM account. But Apple, if you have an @me account, if you have an @Mac account, if you have an @iCloud account,
And if you have a phone.
those are AIM accounts. But what you have to do is to go into your address book or your contacts book, and there is a field in there called, says home, and then to the right of it says AIM. You have to put in your Apple ID, your Apple email into that field, and then you will have an AIM account for Messages.
So that's all you have to do? That's all you have to do.
Well, I don't know that I have that, so let me look at mine.
Well, I'm talking about the computer, I'm not talking about the iPad here.
And I'm talking about the computer too, but it would show up in
It
your.
would show up
in your
here as
contacts
well,
list.
right?
Yeah.
So,
I
You have to hit edit, I think.
hit edit,
Yes.
mhm.
and
Okay.
Keep going.
Wait, you have to look up your own name?
I did.
Oh, but do you have to, is that,
That's how I find myself.
that's what I was asking.
Yeah.
You have to add it.
I don't see the aim. Where would it be?
Probably ask.
under computer, there is a add, in contacts, there is an add field capability, so
Right.
you can insert the AIM field if
Correct.
it's not showing.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
It may not be available in the iPad, but I do most of that work in in my computer, and then it gets synced through iCloud.
Is it
Okay.
the one that's called instant message on the iPhone? Would that be the same equivalent of what you're talking about?
It could be, because that's what it is.
That's what it is. When you click add field, there's no AIM, but there's a thing for instant message.
There is?
There is, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so,
And then when you click that, it also brings up the thing that puts your Skype info.
add field right here?
Yes.
Instant message,
Yeah.
and then that's where I would put it in? And I would put in what? And
Your whatever your @me email address is.
Would your Skype account address do the same?
Yes, it used to have, well, I had chat Skype on mine, but it should be right next to the Skype option.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm set. Skype, right there. Yes,
How do you get iMessages into iCloud? I can't seem to find, if I go to iCloud, it shows what I've got in there, iMessages isn't there.
Okay, let me go through. I might have a demonstration of that. Let me look here. That's message setup. No, I don't. Okay, so here's what, you go to settings, and under iCloud,
It's not there.
it's not there. You go to messages, and this is where you set it up. And you turn iMessage on, and you notice that it says there, iMessage can be sent between iPhone, iPad, iTouch, and iMac. Learn more. And when you go to that Learn More, it'll take you to this site, which is interesting. It's the Apple site, and it goes through the entire thing.
Oh, okay.
So that's where I would go to set this up. And if it's not working, what I've done is I've turned it off on all my devices and then returned it on, and that seemed to reset, did some magic resets. Okay?
Thank you.
Yes, one more question. Don?
While we're talking about screen names, the iCloud name, but if you had mobile me, you could keep your at .mac,
Yes.
and or you can use .me. Now you can use all. If I switch to iCloud and use it once, is that going to eliminate using the other two?
No, it does not eliminate them at all. But I just changed mine the other day, and the other one is still active as well.
Thank
I
you.
think they're linked together. Is that your
Yeah,
understanding?
if you go into into mail and you look at the account details there, and you look at your account, there will be something that says aliases, and you'll see all of the 3 or 4 different email addresses that are all going to the same server and come back to the same location when they send you messages.
Thank you.
Okay, so let's go in here to mail. And,
I'm talking a computer, not a desk. I don't know what.
well, I think it might even show, see here, it says right there, mitchbyers@mac.com. And that's under my iCloud, that's under Mitch Byers.
So me.com works, cloud.com,
And
Yeah.
Mac.com.
and that.
See here, mail, and then, so at the top it says, the Apple ID is mitchbyers@mac.com, but then it says at the bottom of the mail is mitchbyers@icloud.com. And then here are the other ones that you're talking about.
Yeah.
They're all there, and they're all on.
I'm not sure if the AIM account works on all 3 or not. Depending upon when you did it, because my AIM is .mac, not .me. So it might work for all 3, but I'm not sure.
Well, when I just set mine up for that Skype, I used the iCloud one, which I just went to the other day. I'm sure I could have used the Mac one because it's still in here.
Yeah.
Okay, there's a couple things that I wanted to go over today, and let me get to that. And I've sort of found a nifty way, I think, to do some demos, and that is with the photo share, which is a new feature in iOS. So I'm going to press on photos, and there are some demonstrations that I have. And one came up the other week by Don, our treasurer, in the back. And I forgot to ask, are there any people here for the first time? Yes, welcome.
Thank you.
Don is our treasurer in the back. Let me talk a little bit about our meeting since you're new.
We're paid up, we're members.
Oh, you are members?
Yeah.
But you're new today?
I live out of town, so we.
Oh, okay, good. So you know all about us.
Yeah.
Okay. So Don had asked about message alerts. When you get a text message, your phone will, ping or ding or whatever you've got it set at. And his was doing that a couple times, and he wanted to know how to turn that off. And so I said, yeah, there's a setting for that, and I hadn't played with it for some time, so it took us a few minutes to figure out where it was. And it's in notifications. So I have some screenshots of that, and I want to show it. So here's the main screen. This will be the same on the iPad. And what we're going to do is go to the settings area there at the bottom of the wheel. And then that'll take you to this. And what we're going to do is go to the notification area. When you go to notifications, then what I'm going to go do is, you notice messages is the second one I have down there, because that's just where it is in mine. You can change the order of these. But the next screen is, I'm going to go into messages. And I have it turned on in Notification Center, which means I get notified at the top or on a banner. I have it set on banner, so I'll get a banner every time I get a new message. And if you notice at the bottom, I've got mine set to the choo-choo sound. You can set it to any number of sounds right at the bottom. I also have the badge icon turned on, so that means when you look at the message thing, it'll have a little small 3 or something there. It indicates there's 3 messages that haven't been viewed yet. That's where you turn that on and off for many applications. And the next screen is going to show the bottom part of this, which is what I wanted to get to. And that is, I have preview turned off. The reason I have preview turned off, it has to do with a privacy thing. If you don't turn that off, then the text, the first 2 or 3 lines of the text message will show on your screen. So anybody can sit there and read it. So I turn that off, and it'll just say text message from George or whatever. That's about it. And then down at the bottom, there's you can play with this. I'm not going to do it right now, but you can show iMessage alerts from. I have that checked off everyone. You can choose my contacts only, so on. You can play with that. But the real one that we wanted to get to here is the repeat alert right in the middle of the screen, which is what Don asked about. And when you go to the repeat alert, well, I don't have that screen here, but when you go to the repeat alert,
That's the default.
oh yeah,
You're on a screenshot. You're on a screenshot, that's why it wouldn't work.
no, but I had a screenshot of it.
Oh,
I didn't
oh,
put it in.
okay.
Okay, but when you go to this that part, and I'll just go there right now. So if I go into here, and I'll just go right into the notifications, and go into messages, and go into this repeat alert. That's it. And once would mean that it will repeat one time. Never means it will repeat once, but it won't repeat again. Correct, Don?
That's correct. Once is the default. So if you don't answer it, if you just look at your phone or whatever, when it dings, that's fine. You look and you say, that's fine, I'm not going to answer. But then it'll ding again because that's the default. So
Yeah.
if you don't want it to ding more than once, you have to select never.
Yeah.
How soon will it ding again? 1 second, 5 seconds?
No, I'm going to say it's 30 seconds, a minute or so. It's sort of, after we talked about it, I knew about the setting, and after we talked about it, I decided to put mine in never, which means it pings one time, because I'll be at home and I don't get 3,000 texts like my granddaughter does a month, or sometimes 6,000. I get more like, I'm probably up to maybe 20 or 30 a week, which is big. But if I'm sitting across the room and that thing goes off at 8 o'clock at night, I don't need it to go off and keep on irritating me.
So if you have it set to once, are you saying it's going to keep going?
If you have it set to once, it will repeat one time.
You'll get
So
2
it's really
days.
twice,
So
okay.
twice, it's really twice,
Okay.
okay? Now, so I wanted to take a second to go over that. Any questions on that?
Sure. How do you
Yes.
get rid of the notification that keeps popping up on your,
Well, yes, if you would want to get rid of the notification, you would turn it off right here.
I've done it, still comes up.
Well, then you have to turn it off.
Under alert, I think.
You might have to turn it off right in the application itself. Let's see where it is. Let's see it.
It's in notification.
I thought it was in notifications, you just turn it off. I mean, that should go off. If you turn it off in notifications, it goes off.
And then it shows up in the bottom that it's not in there
And
anymore.
it shows up in the bottom that it's not in there. So let me show you that. Let me go back in and do that once. So if I go to notifications, and I take this and I turn it, you see where it is. Let's go back. You see where it is. It says in notification center. It's the top one. Okay, now I go to it and I turn it off. Now let's go back. It's gone. Now where is it? It's down here, not in notification center. That should turn it off completely. Okay? Done.
Well, Mitch, on that same thing, if you don't, that would also turn off the banners and everything.
That'll turn off the banners, it turns
But
off
if
everything.
you go down to where, under badge, right there, text tone,
Yes,
see that? If you click
Yes.
on that and scroll all the way up to the top, it says none.
you can do none. Yes, good point.
So that way you still get your visual.
Yep. That was sort of interesting, when I went back and turned it on, it changed that text tone to the default. I definitely like the choo-choo. See? Okay, there we go. So now it's back on. It's not where I want it. I want it to be at the top, and so to get it at the top where it was, you push edit, and then these things appear, and you just drag it up there, right to the top. Okay? Now, let me go on to the next thing I wanted to review. Again, we're going to have plenty of time for questions and answers. I wanted to go over, let's take a minute to go over updates. Now, this happens to be my wife's phone, and you'll notice that, and this will appear if there's a new iOS version, which they just came out with version 6.0.1 a few weeks ago. You won't get a notification for a while, but then all of a sudden, if you don't update in a week or so, magically a number 1 will appear on your settings there. And you can see it right there in the middle. So if you go to settings, you say, well, what's that? Then you see a number 1 under general. Everybody see that? So if you're seeing this on your device, it means you've got an update you haven't done.
Where is it? Oh, okay, I see it here.
Yeah. Okay, so then, does anybody have updates that they haven't done? Yeah, okay. Got some hands that are going like this. Okay. Good. So then you go into here, into general, what's that 1 all about? And it says, oh, there's a software update. Okay? When you go to the software update, it says this update fixes some bugs, so on iPhone 5. Learn more, hit more. And then it asks, on the iPhone now, it asks you to download the installer. It doesn't do that on the iPad. So this screen appeared, and I promptly hit download and install. And then, and again, this doesn't appear on the iPhone. It just says download and it goes. Or on the iPad. So then this comes up and it says install. And then, here's the installer that I just put in it, iOS Updater. So I hit on that, and when you hit on that, then it brings you in to download and install. You download and install, you hit agree, and it starts to download. And you need to be plugged in when you do this. Plug it into your outlet. If you don't, you better have a full battery, because I think it even gives you a warning you're not plugged in, doesn't it? Do you know if it does?
It just tells you to plug it in.
Tells you to plug it in? Yeah.
It wouldn't do mine last night, it was below 50%.
Okay, it wouldn't do it, it's below 50%, yeah, okay. So I want to take a little time and go over this. This will come up, verifying updates, and then that's it. Any questions on updating the software and on that intrusive number that pops up if you haven't done it?
Do you believe in doing it immediately or waiting a week or two?
You know, I'm an immediate person, but I can tell you that there are snakes on the frontier. So if you want to wait a week or so, I don't think it's going to hurt anything. If there's something that's not working properly, in the first 2 or 3 days of updates, it'll be all over the blogs. It happened one time with an iOS update, I remember a year or so ago, and then immediately came out for correction.
Also, it's less crowded if you wait a couple days.
Yes, it is less crowded if you wait a few days. I mean, I don't immediately run home and do it, but if there was one announced today and I saw it and I was going to be home tonight and not doing anything else, I'd push the button up to do it. Okay, so next thing I want to go over for a minute is Safari. There were a lot of updates to Safari. And I've got the phone shown here first. So here's the phone, and we're going to go into Safari, which is right down at the bottom. And when you go into Safari, what I want to do is, what I'm looking to show you is there's a new cloud tab that's now available that allows you to see what's going on your other devices, or what pages you have open on your other devices. So on the phone, it's sort of, on the iPad, I'll show that in a minute. On the iPad, there's actually a cloud picture at the top of the browser in Safari, which I'll show. But in the iPhone, you have to go into the menu area, and you'll see this iCloud tab, and that's what we're going to go to. And then this shows the pages that are open on my MacBook Pro. I have a couple MacBook Pros. And it shows the pages that are open on those devices. And if I'm in the middle of doing something, like let's say I was in the middle of the second one, the first one down there, iTunes gift card. Maybe I was in the middle of buying a gift card or something. I can just literally hit on that on my iPhone or my iPad, and it'll take me right to where I left off on that on my computer at home. Okay? Now, on the iPad, here's the iPad version. And again, we're going to go down to Safari, which is over here on the far left. And then here's what comes up, and I happen to be looking at Amazon at this very nice new camera. But you'll see in the top menu bar, way at the top up there, there's a cloud. You see it? It's a fourth item from the left. Everybody got that? So that's the cloud that shows on the iPad and on your computer to do this. So we're going to hit on that, and when you hit on that, here's what happens. And you can see it just drops it on down, and it shows what's open.
So you have your MacBook Pro on at home?
It's on. Actually, One of them is on and one of them is actually closed up and turned off, so it just shows where I left off. It's not even plugged in.
How do you feel between the cloud and the other one, or what? You know, I've only got one or two things on the cloud. What does that tell? What's that telling me?
It's telling you that you only have one or two pages.
I only have two items.
Yeah, that's just telling you that there are only two items open in that Safari application on your other device.
Okay. If I had 10 things open, it automatically
Would show all 10. Yes.
How do you stop that happening? Exactly the same as my iMessages with my wife. If I want to look something for a present.
That's what I was going to get at, and that's when you read about this, they talk about privacy concerns. And let's say that you're on there and you're shopping for a present for your wife for Christmas.
That's exactly what I was going to suggest.
That's exactly what yes. And you don't want her to see that. Well, if she's using the same Apple ID as you, if she does this on her iPad, she can see right where you're at and right what you're looking at. And so the only way
You
to...
can tell you the right size.
Huh? Yes. Yes.
What about?
And if you're not shopping for her,
That's exactly the problem.
then you might get a phone call.
But do you not have, I thought private browsing prevented.
Okay, now, if you have, that's a good point. Now, one of the things I discovered is if you notice on here, my two computers are showing, and on the example I was reading, the guy's iPad and his iPhone were showing, and I didn't quite understand why. Started fishing around, and it's exactly that. So I'm going to show that. So let me get out of here. What happened?
So, Mitch, why?
What happened? What happened to your screen?
Plug.
No, there is no plug.
It's private browsing, there's not able to see anything.
Gorgeous. Not.
Somebody is shopping.
But the interesting thing is I can see on my wife's.
Not mirroring.
I can see
Should I
on
turn it
my
off and turn it back on again?
I think that's
Yeah.
what she's got.
There we go. Okay.
I turned that off.
So, let me go into settings. And it was under Safari. So I'm going to go down, well, I think it was under Safari. And what he's talking about is this privacy browsing. If I turn that on, then if I turn that on, then it will not show on my other devices what I'm looking at on this device. Which I had it on, and that's why it didn't show in that screen picture that I had out.
So the fact that I'm not seeing my computers, that might be off.
That's exactly right. So I'm not buying my wife any gifts right now, so I'm just going to leave it the way it is. But if I go and look now at my Safari, and I go to this cloud, here's my iPhone, okay? Here is my, and here are my two computers. So if I go to my iPhone and I turn that privacy thing off, it's in the same area. We'll just see if it disappears right on the spot. Let's see.
You have to rejoin. You have to come out and go back in again.
You know a lot about this.
I'm trying to keep myself hidden from my wife.
I have to go out of Safari completely?
Close it out?
It seems, I think you do. I've just tried it and it wouldn't. No, you just have to go out of the cloud.
Well, I went out of the cloud and that didn't seem to do it, so I went out of
It's done it
Safari.
online. It's just done it. It takes a while, I presume, to get up and down.
Well, that's true too.
It's
Okay, there it is, it's gone.
It's changed colour. That's the thing people notice.
Notice it's gone? Yes, gone.
Yeah, while we're on this, We just discovered back here, evidently turning on iCloud and Safari is not a default. We couldn't figure out why this lady had the latest iOS update, but she didn't have the cloud. So you have to go to settings, and if you don't have that, go to settings, iCloud, and then there's a whole bunch of things that you turn off or on.
Yes, exactly.
You have to turn
I'll show
on
that.
Safari on your settings, iCloud, or you will not get the little cloud
There you go.
features that Mitch is talking about.
Yeah, right there.
Mitch, the other thing is that just so people know if it's on or off, the top of the Safari changes colour. It's light grey when it's private browsing's off, and when it's on, it goes black.
Oh, you do know a lot about this.
I've played with it, I promise you. I've got nothing to do at night.
So you're saying that it's,
If you put the page back up, there, you'll check it. If you turn it on, it goes black, and that tells you you're on private browsing, which I think is a great idea. Also, you get no history if you turn on private browsing. Your history disappears, doesn't show.
yes,
Kelly should have
I knew that. So on, and you're saying that
You don't need a password to do this. So
no,
somebody can
it's
just turn it on.
black at the top.
That's what I'm saying, it changes colour, so you know if you've got on or
Okay.
off.
But if your family members know this, they can just go back and turn it on and
They
see
can
what,
only turn it on their device.
They have to,
okay.
They can't change it on my device. If they change it, I will see them.
Yeah, but unless they got a hold of it and,
well, if they got a hold of it, they could,
yeah. I
yeah.
mean, there's no password,
But you
so.
will know that
No.
if it's
Yeah.
not black, you know you're not doing
I'm just
it right.
thinking of like teenagers that are so smart that, you know,
Parental
erase their
control.
history and
They are very smart.
they, so.
Don't tell them.
Mitch, if all this press on these two generals,
Oh,
is there anything on a Apple device that could have prevented anybody from getting into the mail?
Yes,
what?
It's not a mail solution. There is a way they could have completely avoided all of it. What they should have done was they should have set up a private blog on Blogger,
Oh,
logged into their Blogger account using their Blogger, their Gmail password, and exchanged all of their messages as blog posts to each other that could never be published.
Is it a Gmail password?
Yeah,
We'll have the same one, that gives them a connection.
yes, but nobody, if your history, if you have private browsing on, no one knows that you've logged into that Gmail blog. Anyone can do it from all over the world, and I would suspect that terrorists use this as a way of communicating, but I've never read or heard anything about this.
so what you actually do is what again?
You set up,
Faith filled.
one person sets up a blog on Blogger, and by the way, this will not work on WordPress. WordPress will publish your blog, even if it doesn't think it, don't trust WordPress. Blogger will do it, you put up a blog, it's a non-published blog, so it's a sandbox. And the people you wish to have access to it from your group simply go in and blog post or comment to each other.
The FBI and CIA can't get into it.
They would have to know it existed, but there's no record of you accessing the account if you're using private browsing. I'm sure people, yes, your ISP would know this. The only people know this would be, but it would have to be all the different people's ISPs. Or Google would have to give you up. But it surprised me because email is a horrible way to communicate. And you'd think somebody from the CIA would have known it.
Yeah, it amazes me that these stories come out, either with that or text messaging or any of that stuff. It comes out, and you know that there's a trail even if it's been deleted, and people still do it.
Commentator said today that they just used drafts, but the problem was they were in an iMac program, Gmail, and it's on the server. So even though they didn't actually email each other's computers, it was still on the server, so that's how they were caught.
Well, but they didn't get to that point until they were tracking her down for the harassing emails that she was sending to the other woman. So they stumbled on it as they were trying to dig through her stuff, and she had this account. But I think Karen's got the most experience in this, obviously.
Don't mess around.
Yeah, that's the best policy. Don't mess around and do this kind of stuff, and then you won't have them coming to get you. Okay. Let me go to a different area. Oh, one more thing I wanted to show on that is the history. There's a new history feature. So in Safari, if you go like to, I'll go to this Amazon page. If you hold down the back arrow on a page, the history shows. And if you hold down the back arrow, I got my finger on that back arrow right now, the history of what is on that page shows. So then you can just go on down and go to any one of these that you want. So I can go down and look at...
It's a history of that page.
yes, exactly.
Does it disappear when the page is closed?
Yes, it does.
Because
It
private
does.
browsing prevents any history sharing.
Because if you see this page, there's quite a bit. Okay, I haven't closed that page in a while. If we, let's go to the Bitly page, and if I go to Bitly, there's not much. There was the search. I'll go down to where I originally searched for it. For those who don't know what Bitly is it's a tool that's free on the internet. So if you have a real long web address that you've copied and you want to put it in an email, you drop it in Bitly and it will condense it to about 10 or 15 characters.
This is, I'm asking the question, does this only work on iPad?
It works on the phone as well.
But not on your MacBook Pro? I'm asking.
I didn't check it on the MacBook Pro, no, and it was listed as an iOS 6
Yeah, that's what I thought.
feature. I'm pretty sure it does it on the phone.
Yeah, I think it does.
Yeah.
I mentioned MacBook Pro.
So if I hold down the arrow again the other way now, notice the arrow has changed. I go back up to where I was. I just go to the first one. Okay. So while I'm on Bitly, I mean, this is a free thing that you can download or go to their site. And when I'm not even signed in, but what you get is this, and you just paste a website into there. You can paste a long one into there, and it will actually shorten it up to a very short piece, which is nice. Okay. That's all. So those were the major enhancements to Safari, which were pretty good. I mean, they were pretty good enhancements. Any questions on that?
Is it still only 9 pages open at once?
I believe it is limited. I don't know if it's just 9.
No,
but
it's
I
just
know-
gone up. There was an article this morning.
Oh.
I think it's gone up to 24.
24?
Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember if it's the iPad, not on the iPhone.
Oh.
I know there's a limit because I've gotten to the one that had to close things
I
down.
really
I think I read something this morning.
Yeah. Okay. How are we doing on time here? We're doing
How
okay.
do you see ones beyond 9?
How do you do what?
See ones more than 9?
They get really small.
What she's talking about is not,
Yes.
is these right here. These, the tabs.
The tabs.
How do you get more?
Oh, you see the plus? You see the plus sign over here? If I hit the plus sign,
Way on
see
the
the
right.
plus sign way on the right? I want to open up a new one, I hit the plus sign. and then I would put in what I want to put in right there. So I hit the plus sign, and I can hit one of my favorites, like I could hit Market Grabber. And it'll open up in that particular window.
So if my plus sign is grayed out, does that mean I've used them all and I just don't know it?
Mine's grayed out right now, yes, I'm at the limit.
So,
There should be an arrow you can look at. You use the arrow, the forward arrows to look at. It's the list of everything.
And that's how many there are, right there.
God.
No, no, that's how many there.
Let me ask you a question.
Yes,
How would you copy that long URL in order to take it over to Vivid?
okay, that's a good point, so let's do that once.
What was
So-
that question?
How do you copy this URL up at the top and put it in Bitly and make it something smaller? So let's say I wanted to send this in an email to somebody, so I hold my finger on it. Come on. Okay, and then I'd select all, and I'd copy. Okay, now I'm going to close that out, and what I want to do is get back over to Bitly.
Bitly is an app or a website? It's a website, right?
Yeah, I might have closed that Bitly site down, so let's just go to Bitly.
It should be in your history.
Yeah, that's all right, we'll go right here, Bitly. And then I paste it right here. Paste, shorten. And there it is.
So Bitly is
It's a website.
a website that will shorten your.
Yes, and it shortened that big long one to that right there. And then what I would do is just hit the copy button. And then, once I hit that copy button, it should be there so that when I email, let's see if that worked. Nope, that didn't work. I must have to copy it here. Copy. And then I'll go to, email. And, paste it. Okay. And then you would send your email. And somebody could hit on that link, and it would be that real big long one. You'll see this. Huh?
Same as €90.
Yes, there's a couple other ones that do it too. And you'll see these, I know everybody in here uses Twitter all the time. But if you go to Twitter and you'll see, follow this link, you'll always see these real short things, and it'll take you to a big, long URL. That's how they do that. Yes?
Thank you, Calvert. There is, I believe, a Bitly extension for Safari on your computer, so that you can, it kind of shortens the whole process if you want.
Oh, there's an extension that you can download.
Yes, yeah,
Okay.
it is, and then all you have to do is, I think, click on it. I've used it a number of times, of course I can't remember.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
It just saves a couple of steps.
Okay, good. Okay. Now, I got time for one more here. Let's get out of here and see what we want to do next.
I have a question.
Yes?
The latest version of Safari is only available in Mountain Lion. Is that correct? That's what it says. I assume all of you are running Mountain Lion, which I don't have. So I'm not seeing any of the Safari things you're talking about.
That's, yeah, you would not.
So you have to go to Mountain Lion to upgrade.
You
I
have-
haven't done it because I don't know if I'm afraid to do Mountain Lion or not. If you think it's fine.
I think it's fine, Jerry.
Yep.
It's fine.
Well, it depends upon the age of the computer.
It depends on the age of your computer.
It's 1-year-old MacBook Air.
No problem.
No problem.
Okay.
Well, this is, what you're showing is for iOS 6, right?
Yeah.
Yes, but he was saying that
Oh,
on Safari that we've been talking about mounting on Safari on computers.
You have Safari 6 on Lion, but you won't have all the features because the features we were showing you were iCloud features, and Lion doesn't support iCloud. So that's a real reason to go to Mountain Lion is so you can take advantage of iCloud.
Okay.
Exactly.
iOS 6 is on the iPhone and computer phone.
Yes.
iPhone on the
iOS
iPad.
6 is for your iDevice, either your phone or your iPad.
And I upgraded to iOS 6 on my iPhone, but I don't get the Safari things you were talking about on my iPhone.
Well, that's right, because you wouldn't, because like the iMessage wouldn't talk to your computer at home because you're not on Mountain Lion. The Safari Cloud wouldn't appear on your, you couldn't open up that and see what screens you have open on your computer at home because you don't have Mountain Lion. Okay. All right, let's go over one more, and let's go over the VIP.
Mitch, that cloud thing is not available on the phone, is it?
Yes, it's yes, it is. I showed that. You were taking your nap, Don, let me get back in there. Okay, here it is.
That's the iPad.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the iPhone.
No, here's the phone, right here. Okay, in the phone, the cloud does not appear. It appears in the
Menu.
bookmarks menu. So if you go, this is the same thing, and if you go into Safari, which is at the bottom, the next page is right here, and you go to bookmarks. Third one down, it says iCloud tabs,
Oh, thank you.
okay? Sort of hidden away. Okay? Again, and there they are. And if you go to if you're on the iPad, it's different. You go to Safari, and it shows the cloud, and that's what it does on Mountain Lion if you had it on your computer at home. Okay? Okay, I want to go over one more, and we'll just take a minute, and that one is going to be VIP, which is one of the new features in iOS 6 for mail. VIP, very important person. So here's how you set that up.
Are you doing it on the iPad?
I'm doing it on the iPad. It's the same on the iPhone. You go to Mail at the bottom, more than has the 5 right here. And when you go there, you tap on VIP. If you don't have any set up, it'll just come up and it'll say who you want to add.
Where's VIP?
VIP is the second one down.
Need to go back to your start list.
How do you do it?
I'm going to show you that. If you don't have any added, and you hit VIP, it'll say, who do you want to add? It comes up with that screen. But mine, I've already added people, and you'll see who are important to me. Look at that. Vicky, Jerry, Marilyn, George, the top fellow's a friend I ride bikes with. Okay, and then it says, add VIP. See there, add VIP? If I would hit that, then I can choose anybody in my contacts that have an email address. And if I choose them, it grabs all their email addresses. I mean, it assigns the VIP status to that individual.
Does it leave the mail in the original mail setting?
Yes,
Do you get double?
you have double.
Do you have to delete, will it delete both?
No, it'll delete both.
If you do one in one, it will delete in the other.
Exactly. Okay. So that's a nice new feature, and here's if you hit the edit button at the top, right up there, edit. And if I want to get rid of any of those people, there's where I would do it, and just hit on. And that's that. So let me get into the live part of that. This is my live mail. So VIP, I'm gonna hit on the VIP, and when I hit on it, when I just hit on the VIP, not on the arrow, on the VIP, then all the emails from my VIP people are shown there.
All the emails are,
That I haven't deleted,
okay.
that I haven't gotten off the system. Okay?
Move to the VIP.
Yeah, if I assign somebody to VIP, they'll automatically, all their historic mail will go right in there.
That's cool.
So how do you set up VIP the first time?
Just like I said, you go here, you hit the arrow. You see the arrow right there? Not the VIP, just hit the arrow, and when the arrow comes, if you haven't done any, it'll say add VIP. When I hit add VIP, it's giving me, now notice, it's giving me people it's giving me everybody in my address book, but it's only giving me ones that I have emails for. Okay? Like the Naples Acura dealer, the third one down. I don't have their email. I don't care about their email.
Mitch,
Yes.
one more thing. On an email message, if you look at the incoming email, there is a blue star next to the name. You can tap that, and that automatically adds you to the VIP. So if you get an email from somebody, you want them to become a VIP, you tap the blue star, and they go into the list.
Perfect. We'll
How
take a
do
look
you,
at
how
that.
do you delete one?
So I'm going to add this guy, Rob and Kay Adams. I'm going to add him in. So I go down here and I add him. Now he's on the list.
But go back to the message, to any email message.
Okay, so if I go to any email message,
See the Jerry King right next to the left of the, no, in the actual
In the
message.
message itself.
oh yes, right here. Yeah, the
There's
star's
a
there.
blue star next to him, you tap that, that puts him into the VIP.
So if I go to, let's see who I want to go to. I'm going to go to Donna here. So where would I hit it? Oh, add to VIP, right there. See it?
How do you delete one from that?
Okay, so let's go back in and we'll delete Rob. We added him, but he's really not a VIP, so I made a mistake. So now what I do is I hit edit at the top. You see edit? Hit edit, then I hit right there. See that? See how Rob's lit up to delete?
Mine didn't come through that way. Okay,
Okay, let's start over again. Okay, we're back out here. We hit the arrow, and there it shows all my VIPs. Now I'm going to hit the edit button. When I hit the edit button, they all light up with negative signs.
right.
The one I want to take out is Rob. So I hit the negative sign on Rob, and now I hit delete, and he's gone. And he's not gone from I didn't erase him from my contacts. I just changed his status.
Well, that's what I was trying to do, and it didn't go to that remove part of it, it just stayed on. Minus sign?
Should go, yes, Jerry.
One more point about the VIP, thing. It does not move the email message into that folder. The messages are still in there. These are really kind of like a smart group.
Exactly. Now, that's a good point. So the VIP, if I hit on VIP, there's all the VIP mails that I have, okay? If I go to Gmail, go here, and like here's a couple from Maryland, okay? And they're starred over there, she's a VIP, so they're right in the box where they should be, okay? if I go to my Apple NMUG group, then those people that are VIPs are all starred. But if I go out here and go to the VIP area, they'll all be there.
How often do you use that versus the whole inbox?
I don't use it that often, but it's a nice feature. Now, the other thing I'll mention that I do use a lot is the flagging. I don't use, and they also chose to provide a duplicate of all your flagged emails in the flagged area. That's right there. Okay? And it will show all the flagged emails that I felt were important enough to be flagged. Okay? Not sure what the arrow does. No, the arrow just takes you there. And if you get in there and you say, geez, I want to, this one really shouldn't be a flag, I can go here and I can remove the flag, unflag it. And when I do that and go back in there, it's gone. Well, it will be gone. Because it's not flagged. It might take a while to get out of that account, but it will get out of there.
You might have to go out of mail and back.
Yeah, out of mail and back in. Okay. All right, we got time for a couple more questions and we're going to wrap it up. Yes, Jim.
Hi, Jim Korska. Mitch, when I turn my computer on at home and I have iTunes up, and I have my iPad and iPhone anywhere in the house, I usually can see them on in the device list, but sometimes I don't. Why is that? Like my new I got an iPad 4, and it's my understanding if I have iTunes up and I have them both set to Wi-Fi sync, that it should be in the list of devices on my iTunes on my computer.
It should be, and I've had the same issue.
Me too.
And
I have no idea why.
I have no idea why
I mean, I tried shutting it down, I tried restarting, I tried all those things. And
when all else fails, I plug it in.
well, but I
Yes,
plugged it in and it is not showing up.
Oh,
I
I
plugged the
don't,
iPad in and it did not show up.
no, there's something wrong with that.
That has never happened with me.
That has never happened to me either.
How come you ejected it if it isn't showing?
What?
How can you eject it if it isn't showing?
Well, you don't have to eject.
Don't eject.
When you have them connected wirelessly, you don't press the eject button,
No.
right?
No.
Correct.
What happens if you do?
It forgets it, and then you have to, then it has to resync.
Is to resync? What, hardwired or wireless?
I've had those hardwire.
Okay. All right, maybe that's what I did not do.
Now, the other issue I've had, is anybody here using the iTunes streaming service? Yes, you do? The problem I've had with the iTunes streaming, which I seem to have not had before, and I just read a big article with a lot of problems on this stuff, but I have some song lists that are actually books, audio books, and that are in the song list format. And of course, they don't sync up to the cloud with the iTunes Match. And all of a sudden, when you have iTunes Match turned on, it deletes them from my device.
Out.
So I have to, if I want those things, I have to go in and hardwire in and sync my songs that way. And that's something new, because that wasn't doing that in iOS 5. And I haven't
checked that since the new upgrade. So.
Well, this was a great meeting. We're having a big iOS 6 meeting. It'll be a little bit more extensive than this out at the